Hi, my name is Mathew Fernandez. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Flight Club, the world's first aircraft sharing platform. So my aviation story is I started flying when I was 16. I started as a glider pilot with the Air Cadet Glider program, and then got my power pilot license shortly after that. I was flying a little bit out of Woodstock Flying Club after I finished my power pilot license, and eventually I purchased my own plane after completing my night rating in Toronto. Flight Club is the Airbnb of aviation. It's a platform built by pilots for pilots to help people fly more often for less. Owner would list their airplane on Flight Club. They would set their criteria for allowing a pilot to fly their plane. So they'd set out minimum hours, minimum licenses, and then decide the price per hour that they would have. Once the aircraft's listed on Flight Club, pilots can apply to fly, assuming they meet the owner's criteria. And the owner would do an open book exam, a check ride, and then the pilot can book the plane whenever it's available. So currently we have about 65 airplanes on the platform and about 3,000 pilots. That's so cool.
Hi, how are you?
I got to this idea because of my own need. I bought an airplane and I was flying about 10 hours a month, and I realized the airplane's sitting there, someone else could be flying it, and it would reduce my cost of owning the plane. So I slowly started renting my airplane to other people, and a friend of mine that was also at the same airport, he asked me, hey, can I use what you're using? And from there, it's built one by one into 65 airplanes and 3,000 pilots. Yeah, it's the same thing as any new vehicle. You want to make sure that both the pilot and the owner are comfortable with the airplane, and that's why we always have the open book exam, so the pilot learns the specs of the airplane, the emergency recoveries, and then we have the practical portion where there's a check flight. Both with the owner and the instructor. And with that sort of mixture, you can ensure that both the pilot is comfortable and competent in the airplane. And we also recommend a 45-day currency. So with a 45-day currency, the pilot's going to maintain their skills and continue flying the airplane in a safe manner. We get asked this question a lot. And insurance, there are 3 different ways. The owner can join Flight Club's insurance, where they're added to our policy, which is an open pilot clause, or the owner
Hi guys.
Hello.
Hello. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Just be sure you're straight.
We'll be clear. Thank you.
So
Thank you. The first way is that the owner can add the pilot onto their policy as a named insured. The second is that a pilot goes and gets a non-owned rental policy that specifically allows for pilot rental. And the third way, Flight Club is working on an insurance solution that will cover all aircraft and owners under the platform. Basically, the owner would join Flight Club's policy, and any pilot would be able to fly their plane that the owner authorizes. So an owner can actually make money with their airplane by listing on Flight Club. They can reduce their hourly operating costs by having other people fly and participate in some of the expenses of an airplane. As any owner knows, there are sunk costs to an airplane just by keeping it on an airfield. There's hangaring, there's annuals, there's insurance, and by having other pilots participate and contribute to these expenses, you reduce your flying costs. Also, by having your airplane listed as an airplane for rent, you can use that as a tax deductible when you're filing your taxes. It depends on the airplane, and it depends on the location as well. So if it's a very busy airspace, owners tend to have higher standards for currency and higher hour increments. But typically for a single engine aircraft, that's a 150 or 172, you would need to be a private pilot license or greater, no accidents and incidents in the past 5 years, and maintain a currency of 45 days. A pilot flying on Flight Club gets a ton of benefits. As you know, flying schools are very busy, so having access to an airplane whenever you want it is one of the biggest benefits. We have pilots that rent planes and go flying and overnight camping on a weekend, which would be impossible at a flying school. Pilots typically are also paying less per hour than your average rental aircraft that's available. Owners set their own prices, so it fluctuates once again depending on the airport and the location, but we have airplanes for rent as low as $80 per hour dry, which is a J3 Cub, and as high as $600 an hour dry, which is a Cessna 340. So anything between that range. At one point we did have a fighter jet on there that was about $3,000 an hour dry, so it really depends. Anytime a pilot wants to fly a plane, they search for an aircraft that's close by to them. They would apply to fly. Once they apply to fly, the owner will get their information, and they'll either get approved or denied to the next step. If they're approved to the next step, then the pilot will have to complete an open book exam. The owner will go over that open book exam and just make sure the pilot is knowledgeable about the aircraft speeds as well as the aircraft procedures. Beyond that, then there's a check ride with an instructor and the owner, and once that's completed, then the pilot, assuming both the pilot and the owner like each other, can book the plane when it's available. Absolutely, that's the point of Flight Club. We want people to be able to enjoy aviation, as opposed to just booking in 1 hour increments or 2 hour increments. Like being able to fly somewhere, get lunch, go visit friends. That's what aviation's all about. It's not just flying circuits around an airport. So definitely use Flight Club, go adventure, and fly more often. Minimums are stipulated by the owners. Many of our owners don't have minimums just because on average they're flying maybe 10 hours, 20 hours a month. And if someone's flying it when they're not, it doesn't matter if the airplane's at the airport or at a different airport. I think that Flight Club is needed. The aviation industry is suffering. We've had doubling of fuel prices, doubling of airplane costs, and the only feasible way to keep flying is to share. So I do expect that Flight Club will continue to grow and continue to offer a cost-effective solution to aviation to both pilots and owners. The challenge is convincing owners to go and meet their first pilot. I mean, for many owners, their aircraft is their baby, and it's hard to give your baby up to someone else to fly, but it's making that first introduction and just getting people comfortable. It's a new idea, and it takes time. But you can support Flight Club by following us on Instagram, following our YouTube channel. We get new aircraft every week, so just keep looking and see for an aircraft to be listed near you. We want to get you flying, so see you in the air soon.